Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today our topic of discussion is respiratory movements. Our objectives are we are going to define bucket and pump handle movements, explain the action of intercostal muscles and diaphragm, discuss the action of muscles used in forceful or exertional breathing, and explain the mechanism of respiratory movements. We start with the thoracic cavity diameters. So before we move to the movements, we see the thoracic cavity, we have three different type of diameters: vertical, anterior, posterior, and transverse. The vertical diameter is between the distance between the superior and inferior part of the thoracic cavity, that is between the suprapular membrane and below the diaphragm. So this diameter is known as vertical diameter. The second diameter is between the anterior and posterior part of the thoracic cavity, that is between the sternum and the vertebral column. So this diameter is known as anteroposterior diameter between sternum and vertebral column. The third diameter is between the two lateral walls of the thoracic cavity, that is from right to the left side of the thoracic cavity. So the two lateral ends of the ribs are connecting this diameter. So if we go in this direction from one or right side to the left side of the thoracic cavity, this will be the transverse diameter. So three types of diameter we have: vertical, anteroposterior, and transverse. We start with the movement that is known as pump handle movement. Already in the previous lecture you have already talked about the pump and bucket handle movement. So we just review it, that the sternum is connected to the vertebral column through a curved structure which we name as a rib. So the mechanism of action or movement of this connection is just like the movement of the pump handle. So as we are pushing it down or pushing it up to take the water, in the same way, if these ribs are moved slightly upward, they increase the diameter. If we can see here, this is the normal structure of the sternum and vertebral column at the time of expiration, or we can say when there is no inspiration is there. So in expiration it appears like this, but as we inspire, so what happened, that the rib anterior end is slightly moved forward and upward, raising the mainly the lower part of the sternum. So they are increasing the diameter, that is known as anteroposterior diameter. So again I will repeat: in expiration you will find the rib in this position with the diameter, that sternum is lower down or chest with the chest wall, while during pump handle movement the anterior end of the, specifically this happen in the lower curved ribs mainly. So lower curved ribs mainly, when the little bit movements takes place anteriorly, they raise up, and as they raise up they raise the sternum upward and outward. So as it is going upward and it go outward, the anteroposterior diameter increases. This type of movement is known as pump handle movement, and this movement with the help of anti end of the ribs, the costal cartilages, the sternum moves superiorly and anteriorly, increasing the anteroposterior diameter. The second type of movement which is taking place in the thoracic wall is known as bucket handle movement. So as we can see that now the handle of the bucket is with the bucket, but when we raise it or uplift it, the diameter between the center and the handle is over here is less as compared to the diameter when it is raised up or parallel to the bucket upper surface. So it means that if the bucket handle is raised up, its diameter from the center of the bucket increases, and that diameter is known as transverse diameter, as we have discussed. From lateral part or from the lateral part of the thorax to the other lateral part or right to left, this diameter is known as transverse diameter. So as we can see, what happened in this movement, that posteriorly the ribs are attached to the vertebrate bodies, and anteriorly through costal cartilages they are attached to the sternum. And already we know that the first sternocostal joint is a primary cartilaginous joint with a very slight movement, and rest of these joints between the costal cartilages and sternum directly, these are plain synovial joints. A little bit movement is taking place over here. So when the ribs which are obliquely placed and move downward and forward, when they are little bit raised up due to the movement, so the transverse diameter increases. So as the ribs are elevating lateral side or shaft of the ribs are elevating, the transverse diameter increases, or we can say the ribs are fanning out, especially the middle and lower part of the ribs. So this type of movement is known as buccal handle movement, and it increases the transverse diameter. So this diagram is showing both the movements, bucket handle and pump handle movement. So as we can see, in bucket handle movements, the transfer diameter is increasing, and in pump handle movements, the anteroposterior diameter is increasing. So for the axis of the movement we will talk about. So for the pump handle movements, as we can see, the axis of the movement is at the posterior end at the level of vertebrae, or where the ribs are connecting with the vertebrae. So from here the handle is moving upward and down, while in case of bucket handle movement, the axis of movement is passing through the head and neck of the rib and elevating and decreasing the rib. These are the axis of the movements over here for bucket and pump handle movements. This diagram is showing that if we will talk about expiration, quiet and force in the next slides, but here we can see if we forcefully expire, so all the air will go out. So this is the part that the ribs are depressed downward and the diameter decreases. And if you compare this diagram with the diagram D, you can see that the ribs are flying out and the diameter is increased. So in forceful inspiration, the hole or the diameter of the thoracic cavity increases, and in expiration the diameter decreases. And as we can see, the combination of rib cage or the movement bucket and pump handle along with the movement of the diaphragm, it is responsible for the inspiration. So diaphragm is the main inspiratory muscle along with the intercostal muscles. It is the main inspiratory muscle. This is the normal position of the diaphragm when it is not contracted. As you can see, these are known as left and right dome of the diaphragm. So as the contraction of this muscle takes place, these domes disappear and they become flat. They go down, or they depress down and become flattened. As they become flattened, so the vertical diameter of the ribcage increases. So another important thing, that vertical diameter of the ribcage increases because of the contraction of diaphragm. So we discussed that anteroposterior diameter increase by the bucket, and transverse diameter increases and decreases by the bucket and pump handle movements, and vertical diameter is increased or decreased by the contraction or relaxation of diaphragm. So we divide our respiration into four parts: quiet or rest, in resting stage inspiration, when we don't need any exertion or forceful breathing. So in normal respiration or quiet inspiration, we have three diameters which are increasing: vertical, anterior-posterior, and transverse. Vertical diameter increases as we have discussed just now. Domes of the diaphragm contract and become flattened, and in result the level of diaphragm is lowered. So as the diaphragm gets lowered, the vertical diameter increases. In anterior-posterior diameter, first we have already discussed that pump handle movements takes place. As the pump handle movements are taking place, downward sloping ribs raised at their external ends upward, and along with that the pump handle movement is taking place. The first rib is fixed by the action of scalene muscle, which we studied in the previous lecture. Scalene anterior, posterior, and medial, mainly anterior and medius. So by the presence of those muscles, the first rib is fixed in their position, and the lower ribs are actually moving this and causing pump handle movements. Along with that, contraction of external intercostal muscles, they all are responsible for quiet inspiration. So increasing the anterior-posterior diameter. The transverse diameter, and already we discussed with the help of bucket handle movements. First rib, again it is fixed over here by the action of scalene muscles, and along with that contraction of external intercostal, quiet aspiration is taking place. Or already we have discussed that external intercostal muscles in the previous lecture we talked about that their fibers are directing from upper to lower rib, downward, forward, and towards the anterior. So as they contract, they take the lower rib outwards, so increasing the diameter. So these all factors are involved in the quiet inspiration to increase the vertical, anterior-posterior, and transverse diameter. The dome of the diaphragm descends and is responsible for vertical increase, pump handle movements, along with fixation of first rib and contraction of external intercostal muscles for the anterior-posterior diameter increase, and bucket handle movement with first rib fixation and contraction of intercostal muscles, transverse diameter. Along with that, levator costarum, which we studied in the previous lecture, and serrator posterior superior muscle also help in elevating ribs, but they are doing their function very little bits, or a very minute function is done by the levator costarum as well as serrator posterior superior. They are not very much active muscles by inspiration. Okay. In forceful inspiration or exertional breathing, it means that forceful inspiration, exertional breathing, that if we are going upstairs from 3 or 4 floors, so what will happen when we reach upstairs, that we have very forceful breathing or inspiration, or difficult breathing little bit, because of that we have taken exertion and our muscles are contracting very powerfully. So when we are doing forceful inspiration, maximum increase in the thoracic cavity takes place. And along with what we have talked about in quiet inspiration, all those factors are involved in increasing the different type of diameters. Along with scalene anterior, scalenus medius, and sternocleidomastoid muscles are also contract and help to elevate the rib to increase the diameter. So they are also responsible for forceful inspiration, along with the factors which we have discussed in the previous slide. Okay, now the changes which are taking place in lungs during inspiration, I'm talking about in terms of anatomy, but there are different changes taking place according to physiology, or the pressure changes. They all will be discussed by physiology department. So changes in the lungs during inspiration, the root of the lungs descends down along with the bifurcation of trachea. It is said that almost 2 vertebral level down they go while inspiration, and Also, as they are going down, also the lower part of the lungs are also getting down, almost filling the gap, which is the pleura, which is known as recesses of the pleura. The second change which is taking place is the bronchi elongate and dilate at the time of expiration, and alveolar capillaries also dilate while inspiration. That is about the inspiration, quiet and forceful. Now we will move to quiet expiration. In quiet expiration, it is generally a passive phenomena. We don't require any forceful contraction of the muscles to do the expiration. Mainly, already I have discussed previously also that it is done by the elastic recoil of the lungs. Already we discussed that our alveoli as well as the bronchial tree is enclosed in a very fine thread-like elastic fibers, and it's just an example of a balloon that you inflate a balloon, and as you deflate it, you don't need any external stimulus. The same is happening here, that as we inflate the lungs, so that elastic tissue increases in size or stretches out, and as the air goes out, that stretched elastic tissue move to its normal position, and that mechanism is known as elastic recoiling of the lungs. Along with that, diaphragm and relaxation of the external intercostal muscle occurs. So they contract, contraction become relaxation for both the muscles, so they go to their normal position. So again, decreasing the diameter of the cavity, and along with that, a very minor action of certain posterior inferior muscles help in lowering the ribs. As we have discussed in the previous lecture, that certain posterior inferior muscles are attached in the lower ribs. So when at that time they contract, as they little bit contract, and they will take the rib little bit down, but it is a very minute action. Regarding force expiration, forcible contraction of the anterior abdominal wall takes place. So regarding the forceful expiration, we need anterior abdominal wall muscles, which we have external and internal oblique, rectus and transverse abdominis. In the previous lecture I have showed you. In the next slide also again I will show you. So we need anti-abdominal wall muscles for forceful expiration, along with the passive recoiling of the lung tissue and contraction of external intercostal muscles, and contraction of internal intercostal muscle, actually not the external, internal intercostal muscles. And quadratus lumborum pulls down the 12th rib. This is a muscle of the posterior abdominal wall, and it is attached to the 12th rib, so it little bit helping during forceful expiration, that it pull the rib down, that is the 12th rib, along with the serratus posterior inferior, which already we have discussed, and another muscle which is actually the muscle of or related to the upper limb, known as latissimus dorsi. It is a or sort of a superficial muscle on the back and part of upper limb. It also help in lowering the ribs down. It's a minor action. This is internal intercostal. So please correct it. Okay, now forceful expiration. The changes which are taking place during inspiration are: root of the lungs ascends, bronchi shorten and contracts, and elastic recoiling of the lung tissue occur. These are the changes which are taking place in the lungs. Regarding the type of respiration, we divide the respiration into three types. It can be abdominal, it can be thoracic, it can be thoracoabdominal. So abdominal is in the children and infants, thoracic is mainly in the female, and thoracoabdominal in the male. What happened in the very early life, the ribs are not very much placed curved, or they are not very much slanted, so they are almost horizontal. So because of the horizontal arrangement of the ribs, these pump and bucket handle movements are not very much permeable, so they are not properly, these movements are not taking place. So because of that, mainly the diaphragm is moving. That's why this type of respiration, which is occurring in infants or small children, we name them as abdominal, that they need their diaphragm to contract for the inspiration rather than the intercostal muscles, because the ribs are horizontal, so they are not very much moving along with the contraction of muscles. The second type in females, although in females all what we have studied till now, that the type of inspiration and expiration and what movements are taking place, they all are taking place in the females, but mainly the females are taking inspired movements or doing inspired movement with the help of thoracic cage and intercostal muscles rather than the diaphragm. Diaphragm is also descending down, but mainly their movement is because of thoracic wall, intercostal muscles, or they are involved in these structures are involved. So that's why the respiration in female is known as thoracic type. And in males, the same thing is happening, that thoracic wall movements as well as muscles are contracting, the diaphragm is contracting. Mainly, again, in males it is abdominal, but along with abdominal, thorax is also taking an important part. So that's why we name that in males the type of respiration is thoraco-abdominal. So in children we have abdominal. After 2 years, it become the adult thoraco-abdominal in males and thoracic in females. So this just we can look the diaphragm. This is the diaphragm. It is attached by a sclera, and this is are known as right and left domes. So when the inspiration is taking place, if you can see, the dome of the diaphragm descend down, and as they are breathing out or expiration, the dome of the diaphragm go to their normal position. So in inspiration, diaphragm descends, and in expiration, they ascends and go to their normal position. This is just a chart to memorize it again what we have talked about in the previous lecture. The serratus posterior superior is the elevator of the rib. Serratus posterior inferior is the depressor of the rib. Levator costorum are elevators of the rib, but they have very minute actions. External intercostals are the main inspiratory muscles. Internal intercostal are the main depressors of the ribs, along with their intercondral part between the cartilages, that is elevating the ribs, and intermost intercostal muscles along with the intercondral part, they also help in expiration. And subcostal as well as part of intercostal transverse thoraces, they are just the depressors. They already we discussed in previous lecture. In this diagram also we discussed previously. Again I will repeat that the muscles of inspiration. So the principal muscle is the diaphragm. So the domes are descending down and flattening takes place, taking the ribs down. These one, along with external intercostal muscles, which are as they are contracting, they are taking the lower rib little bit outward, increasing the diameter, and intercondral part of the intercostal muscles. These are the principal movement muscles, along with the accessory muscle which we need regarding forceful breathing, sternocleidomastoid and middle scalene and T.S. scalene and posterior scalene. Already we discussed these muscles. While the quiet breathing or in the resting stage, expiration results from the passive recoiling of the lung tissue, what we have discussed. And in active breathing, we need the muscles which are internal intercostal, except the intercondral part, which is actually the inspiratory portion. Internal intercostal muscles helping by decreasing the ribs and causing expiration, along with the help of muscles rectus abdominis, this one, external oblique, internal oblique, and transverse abdominis. Transverse abdominis, internal oblique, external oblique, rectus, these all are the anterior abdominal wall muscles, and when they contract they take these lower ribs down, so the help in forceful expiration. So this is all about the respiratory movements. If you have any questions, you can